Hi, Debbie.
Oh, I thought you heard me. I said hi. I didn't realize I was still on mute.
No worries. How's it going?
Okay, how you doing? I'm
Pretty
going
good.
to give you, because I'm going to have to jump. So I'm going to give you participant. I'm going to give you co-host until I jump off.
Okay. Thank you.
I always
I don't
make
think,
people. And I sent out your
yes, I
letter
saw.
today.
Thank
And
you.
Nellie responded. She just wants me to send it to the city agencies as well. I said, so I'll respond tomorrow. I
Yeah.
just
Okay.
saw it now. So I was jumping on here. So I don't
Okay.
normally look at emails. So I will respond. And of course, we send it to all, just so you can respond, we send it to all our regular email blasts of all the electeds.
Yeah. Okay.
I think that's
Yeah, I think
appropriate.
we'll get some edits from here and then we can definitely include those in the final
Perfect.
version.
Perfect. See, there's a Christine on here. Hi, Christine.
Hi.
Carlos, are you okay with me jumping off?
Yeah, we don't have any, no one, there's no presentations from the agenda. No one else said they were
Right,
going to do
right,
anything. Okay,
okay.
cool. Yeah, so I think we're good.
And
I'm just waiting.
once I jump off, you'll be host, so then if someone does need to share their screen, just give them co-host.
Okay,
Okay,
sounds good. All right,
all
thanks,
right,
Debbie.
have a good meeting.
Thanks. Hi, everybody. I'm gonna wait a minute or two, see if we get a few more folks. I know that there are new members who might be joining, so I'll give folks a little bit of time to hop on.
Hi,
Hi,
everyone.
Nellie, it's good to see you. I don't mean to interrupt. How you doing?
I'm good.
I just mentioned I had to jump off, but I saw your email quickly. I don't normally look at emails, at night, but we send it to all our regular distribution list of all the city and state elected officials.
Beautiful. That's great.
So I just wanted to make sure that you knew that.
Thank you so much.
That's our norm.
Okay, good.
That's our norm unless told otherwise from the norm.
Yes, I
So
figured that
I
was
call
the
it
case.
our
Yeah.
elected official distribution list.
Great, thank you. Hey, Carlos, just a quick note. I'm gonna have to be in transit in a little bit, so I'm gonna go off camera, but I'll try to stay on camera for as long as I can.
Okay, no problem. I think we'll get started, and if anyone else hops on, they can join us. But so thanks everyone for joining. I have a long list of things to talk about, but we have no presentations today. So it will be a mostly discussion-based meeting. Before we get into the agenda, the first thing I just wanted to let folks know about is a couple of weeks ago, I attended on behalf of the board from Anatol's instruction, a briefing from the Mayor's Office of Environmental Justice or Climate and Environmental Justice, MOCEJ. Yeah, Climate and Environmental Justice. They are working on producing this urban forest plan to kind of expand the tree canopy in New York City. I believe their goal is to expand the tree canopy cover to 30% by 2035. And they're starting to have a bunch of public meetings to kind of kickstart the plan. And so I just wanted to share the registration link with folks if they're interested. There is the in-person meeting in Queens is all the way in the Rockaways, and that's on May 1st. A closer one for our district would be May 15th. They're having one in East Harlem, but they're also having a virtual one on June 4th. That's the one that I'm going to be going to. I definitely encourage everyone to join that if you're free and check that out. I think their intentions seem really good with the discussion that we had earlier. Like they have a lot of goals and things that they have identified as like things they need to address in order to kind of reach this increased canopy goal. But they haven't really made a lot of commitments yet. So I think it's kind of our job to go to these meetings and really advocate for our community to know that, so folks know that like this is an important part of the city that needs to be paid attention to. But other than that, we'll have to kind of see as where they go with that. Okay. So getting into or anyone have any questions about that before I move on? Okay. So getting into the green asphalt letter, a little bit of background on this. So as some of you probably know, Tom Matuzis and the Blissville Civic Association have been frustrated by the green asphalt plant in Blissville and their operations kind of polluting the air in the surrounding vicinity. Apparently, they were issued a violation by the State Department of Environmental Conservation, I believe, more than a year ago, that they were in violation of certain environmental protection laws. But really, nothing has been done beyond that, and they continue to kind of operate as usual. So he's asked if our committee and me could send a letter to DEC, kind of asking them for updates, what they're doing, and asking them to continue to enforce and potentially shut the plant down. So I drafted the letter that Debbie had sent around. I have a Google Doc link that I'm just going to share with everybody so they have access to it, because I'd prefer to give people the option to edit actively. So I'm going to share that now if people want to look at that. But I'm generally looking for any comments or thoughts that people might have about the letter. I think I would love for it to come from me and our committee, just so we don't have to like get full board approval on it. And I kind of want just oversight from our committee so it can go through quickly. So I'm really looking for people's thoughts and approval on this letter. Let me know if I should bring it up on my screen, but the link is there.
Carlos, looking at it again, and realizing this is going to the state where they, you know, of course they know, you know, what's in their jurisdiction, but can we just give the address for the green asphalt plant on that first paragraph?
Yeah, I can. It's a good idea. A great suggestion.
And who is the regulatory body for the plant? Is it DEC or is it some other entity?
So from what I understand, DEC is responsible for regulating any kind of like air pollution related things, but I don't believe that they're responsible for like the general operations of the plant, and any kind of licensing that they might have for what they do and where they do it. That would have to be like, I would have to look into that further. I'm not familiar with kind of how these kinds of things exist, because it's not like an energy, it's not like it's not an energy producing plant. It's like they kind of like exist on their own, and what they do is recycle asphalt and create asphalt, I believe. So like their normal operations create like smog and a lot of pollution. So that's what DEC regulates, but their operations in general, I don't believe like are necessarily like permitted, or they're not licensed directly by the Department of Environmental Conservation.
I just asked that because we say they're violating this law. So just curious, they're violating it based on what enforcement, you know, what enforcement entity tells us that they are violating it?
So the Department of Environmental Conservation issued them a violation. That was an official thing that they did.
Wait,
But
so
I
which
don't
department
know.
was it? Sorry, I missed it.
Department of Environmental Conservation. So that's state DEC.
So it is
Um,
them,
it
DC.
is them, but
Oh,
I'm just saying I don't know if they like regulate anything else about it, and I don't know if they like do regular checkups, or it was like people
okay.
were complaining about it, so then they went and they checked on it. I don't know the
I
process
see.
for that. I just know that they are responsible for fining them if they don't correct the issues that are laid out in the violation, and then they're allowed to issue these violations. That's kind of the main point of information I have. But it is maybe a good point to add something in the letter for clarification on like who is like, we could ask them, you know, who else is responsible for holding this plant accountable, and are there any other agencies or entities in the state or city that kind of could be brought in or are responsible for regulating them.
Okay, yeah. So they've issued the violation. We're now bringing it to their attention that they are still in violation and that they should
Correct.
take some additional action. Got it.
Yeah. And we also are unclear if they've continued to fine them. There's something about like there's a certain time period. It's like if they don't fix it in this amount of time, they get a fine, and then they continue to get fines. So I also don't know if they're getting fined. Like it would be good to know if they're like if they're eating the fines and they don't care, or if they're not actually getting fined. It'd be good to know. Okay. And hey, Lauren, I saw you just joined. We're talking about the green asphalt letter that Debbie had sent around. I'll put the draft again, the link again in the chat. But if you have any thoughts about it, or kind of discussing edits that folks might have now, or any thoughts.
Okay, what edits were discussed so far?
The two things that Nelly had brought up were adding the address of the asphalt plant to the beginning. And then we were also discussing like who are the regulatory bodies that are responsible for allowing them to operate like this. And all we know, or all I know, is that DEC issued them this violation. I don't know what prompted them to do so, but they issued this violation that they're in violation of some of these,
Okay.
like the Air Quality Act. But we don't. But we could ask them for clarification on who else are the regulatory bodies or the like the licensing agencies or anything that might allow them to operate in the way that they do.
Okay. I think that that's a good, I think I agree with both of those suggestions. And I think that is good. So yeah. Because we want to make sure that we have the right, like we're covering all bases, let me put it that way. Like if
Yeah.
we're saying DEC, then if there's anybody else that we should be addressing, then we'll find out that way, hopefully.
Yeah, I think it's also helpful because I don't like there's not a lot, there's not a huge ask in this letter. I didn't really know what to kind of ask for beyond like clarification on the fines and just like is anything going on? Like is DEC doing anything and asking them to do more if they're not doing anything? But that is a little bit of like I feel like that's a little bit of a weak ask. So this is helpful to kind of get more. I think
Okay.
this will be a good ask to get more information because even if they don't want to do anything, at least they can maybe explain some of it to us more. Right. Any other thoughts about the letter? Everyone should have access to, so if you want to like look at it again tonight and make comments on it, I'm happy to continue to take suggestions. I think my goal would be to try to send it sometime next week, but I'll probably like consolidate edits like over the weekend and then I'll send them to Debbie so that we can have a final version soonish.
Okay.
Okay, so moving on to the next agenda item. I want to talk about local flooding. I know that, this is an issue a lot of people are commonly frustrated with in our community district. And I really want to bring some kind of attention to some of the hotspots of flooding that we see around the district, and kind of put them in DEP's face, because we haven't really gotten any clear answers about any like flooding related or kind of resiliency related efforts that they're doing around our community. And I would love to find a way to kind of advocate for some small wins by highlighting a couple of locations in our district that we could kind of send to them. And so I kind of have an idea for a campaign, but I'm curious, do people have like ideas of things of areas within their neighborhoods that you always see flooding like whenever it rains? Because I have like a few in my mind, but I'd love to have like one or two in each of Long Island City, Sunnyside, and Woodside that we could potentially highlight for DEP. And I'm definitely want to ask the full board once we kind of like figure out how exactly we want to do this, but curious if folks have any thoughts or ideas. I will say my thoughts are to kind of identify a few locations within the community district, and then kind of run like a 311 campaign. So like every time it rains, we could have someone nearby each site that we're kind of highlighting, go out, take a picture, make a 311 complaint, and we can kind of compile that over the course of a couple of months. And if we have a good amount of complaints that we can kind of point to, we can send that to DEP and be like, listen, people are complaining a lot about these locations. Can we do something? And kind of get them to act. I feel like often what we do is we just complain about flooding generally, but we're not asking about fixing specific locations unless it like, there's some rare instances where we do, like when we do the budget, we probably ask for specific upgrades. Or there might be other instances where we ask for specific things, but I want to really highlight some of the worst places that we see flooding. And try to get some answers on things that DEP could be doing for those locations. No one has any thoughts?
No,
I'm happy to
no,
go
I'm
to the
just,
full board with it too.
oh, just curious. It's just the question that comes to mind. So this would be word of mouth, basically, in a sense, or is there any agency that's documenting it as it is besides besides going through 311? Like I don't know. Is there anything that any other agency, I don't know, that
That like documents flooding.
yeah. Or has
don't- not-
has the community board itself also been getting like do they have a record of like complaints and things that may have come up? I mean, some of this may have been like people
It's
coming
a
to
good
our
idea.
community board, you know, full board meetings or something, or saying, I'm just curious, this is a starting point too.
Yeah, I can definitely check with Debbie about like flooding complaints that they have. The problem is I don't know like how many people are sending flooding complaints that they might be making to the board.
Okay.
So I definitely like want to still do a targeted thing, but I think that's definitely
Okay.
a good place to start to try to get some initial locations, because the
Yeah.
first thing to do is identify those locations that we
Yeah,
should like
yeah,
highlight.
yeah. No, I agree with that. I wasn't suggesting that it would be a replacement for what you were saying, but it's like,
Yeah.
no, but just
And I'll admit that like I've done a few 311 complaints about flooding, but I don't do it every time. You know, sometimes I'm like
okay.
busy about where I'm trying to go.
Okay.
And I think like my intention is to create a sense of purpose for it, so that if people are like, if someone like if we know that even someone on the board is like, there's this place in my, you know, a couple blocks from my apartment that I walk by all the time, and it's always flooded every time it rains, but like it's just frustrating me, and I don't usually do anything about it, but it's like, you know, maybe I brought it up to DEP once, maybe I've filed a 311 complaint, but this would create
Okay.
like intentionality where they know every time it rains, okay, I'm going to go out and do that
There's
and take a picture of it, and then we kind of have this this record of it,
okay.
and we can have something to look at that's pretty regular.
Okay.
Thanks, Nelly. And if you have ideas for locations, I'll definitely take them. The next month, I feel like, is where, you know, obviously it's spring. It hasn't rained a lot, actually, I feel like, in April, but I think it would be like, this now is a good time to do this, even if it, you know, if we can get 2 months out of it, 2 months worth of complaints, like depending on how much it rains, it'd be great to highlight some locations. So I'll definitely check with Debbie if folks know of locations or they know of people who have complained a lot about any particular locations in the past. Please let me know, and I can kind of add them to the list of what we're considering. I'll definitely talk about the full board at some point. I don't know how much time we're going to have next week with all the DCP stuff going on, but okay. Any other questions or thoughts on the flooding campaign? Okay. All right, so I'll move on to old business. So one thing that Kevin had mentioned to me, I think he was here, but then he left, was that you know, he wanted an update on the parks dog run issue, which I haven't heard back from them on. I will nudge them again. But they did also offer to do a walkthrough of the district with me. I'd love to have some committee members join me for that. So if folks are interested in joining the walkthrough, and you have like parks you want to visit or issues around parks that in your neighborhoods, let me know and kind of coordinate with them. I know they only offered it to me, so I don't want to like promise anyone that we could do a bigger thing. But I'm definitely going to make the ask that some of the committee members get to join for the walkthrough. I'll probably try to plan that for next month. So
And that
keep that
would
in mind.
And that would be on a weekend or something like that? Or like, what are we talking
I feel like
about?
weekend is probably best,
Okay.
just so people can join. But again, I have to follow up with them. I have to check.
Okay.
Weekend would be. I don't know if I could do it on a weekday unless it was like in
Okay.
the evening. Or early morning or something, which I would rather not do. Yeah, Christine.
I'm not a member of the committee.
That's okay. We don't
oh.
have a lot of people here today, so go ahead.
I'm president of the Friends of Noonan Park Dog Run.
Mhm.
I don't know, I mean, I would be happy to go on this. I don't know if you want, you know, a person who's not a committee member to go, but I would be happy to go and talk about issues that we have at the dog run.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, I mean, I think we can definitely make that one of the stops and have you join us for that location at the very least. So I'll make note of that when I reach back out to parks, that it'd be great to do the Noonan Dog Run as one of the stopping points on our walk.
I'll put our email address in the chat.
Okay, great. I'll take that.
Okay.
Okay, sorry, I'm just taking notes here. Okay. And then the other thing is just I've started to reach out to a number of organizations that I'm familiar with that are more citywide to talk about some of the work, the environmental and parks related work that they've been doing across the city. I really think it'd be good kind of opportunity to hear from some organizations that are doing advocacy work or doing policy work to kind of understand some issues that are going on across the city and how they might apply to our community district. Some of the organizations that I've reached out to are the Nature Conservancy, the Natural Areas Conservancy, the New York League of Conservation Voters. I have reached out to New Yorkers for Parks, but they're actually hosting their own thing next month that I'll definitely invite folks to. But if anyone has other organizations that do parks or environment work that you're aware of that you think could be good folks to kind of come and talk about the work that they're doing at our committee, I'd love to know, and I'd love to kind of reach out to them and see if they can come and talk to us. So open invitation if anyone has ideas.
So Carlos, you said you reached out to them and you're waiting to hear back. Is that what's happening?
I reached out to those groups and I'm waiting
Okay.
to hear back. I just emailed them this
Okay.
morning.
Oh, that's
But
all right. Okay.
yeah.
And they didn't answer you yet? Come on.
They didn't answer me yet. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
But I want to get some ideas for things that people are doing that are new and different. And I feel like, we often get presentations from agencies and from local groups, which is awesome when they're doing work, but I also want to kind of get some ideas from folks who are doing more things citywide and kind of bigger picture stuff.
Okay. Can anybody come and talk about like climate change or anything with that? Like, I don't know. I don't remember if that was ever been a topic here, like directly. I mean,
Yeah.
it's come up in other indirectly. I don't know. I don't know. I'm just throwing
I think it's a
something
great
out
idea.
there.
Do you
I don't have
think
anything.
like no, like let's like brainstorm a little bit, because I
Okay.
definitely know like organizations that do like general climate change work, but also there could be like professors who are doing research. I don't know, like what would you love to hear about in terms of like climate change? Is it like policy related, advocacy related,
Yeah, I think
research
both.
related?
I think, okay, that's a good question. I know everything is so controversial these days. I was thinking policy and advocacy, but it'd be interesting to get research. But yeah, I was thinking policy and advocacy.
Research might
But
be a
research
little
might be
dry
different.
depending
Yeah,
on what it
what
is,
it
but
is. Yeah.
yeah.
But I was thinking more policy advocacy. I don't know.
Yeah,
In some ways, it's like the thing that comes to mind too is like, how do you like protect against, climate change in an environment where there seems to be, what should I say? In a adversarial environment. I don't know. I don't know what the word is.
Mhm.
But you know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like, I don't know.
an unsupported
Unsupported.
environment.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a good thought. I mean, luckily, I think there's still a lot of New York City groups who are working on this stuff. There's probably a couple buckets of organizations, or at least like issue areas that pertain to climate change. Like there's definitely resiliency stuff, and you actually gave that makes me think of another organization, the Waterfront Alliance, who could be good. I don't know what they're working on right now, but I could
Okay.
definitely reach out to them. And then in terms of like, there's definitely like fossil fuel reduction, which can go in so many different ways. Like there's renewable energy stuff. There's like electric vehicle charging, or electric, like, transitioning to electric vehicles in all senses of the word, which could be a bunch of people. I know, do folks know about, I know a little bit about this, but there was an offshore wind project that was just basically scrapped by the federal government. I don't know that much about it, but maybe it'd be great to kind of hear from an expert about like what's going on there and anything we could maybe do to kind of advocate for the state to fund the project or something like that.
Okay, that
Um,
sounds interesting. That sounds
yeah.
very interesting. Yeah.
Okay, I'll try to figure out someone. I
Mm,
don't know exactly who that would be, but I could figure it out.
okay.
Okay, those are great ideas. Thank you, Lauren.
Okay.
Okay. So just the last thing is I'm still looking for a vice chair, so I'm gonna kind of wait for more folks to join the committee to actually decide on one. But if anyone has interest or suggestions for anyone you think could be good, please let me know, because I'd love to have someone help out. And I think
Yeah.
it's just good for the command structure in case I
It help.
can't be here for some day.
Yeah, it helps to have a vice chair. I agree. I
Yeah.
agree.
All right.
Okay. Do you know when, I'm sorry, do you know,
Yeah.
do you know when new members might be, that when they're just, I know they're in the exploratory stage right now, so
Yeah,
they're
I think
trying.
exploratory is this month,
Okay.
and then next month they choose, and then we'll
Okay.
probably get official members in June. I have to check
Okay.
with Anatole. I don't actually remember. If you don't know, then
I don't know.
I mean,
Yeah, I don't
yeah,
know what the schedule is.
okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, I
Okay.
mean, they said at the last full board meeting that this was the exploratory month.
Exploratory.
So I'm assuming people are going around, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. We'll have to see. Okay. That was all of my agenda items. Christine, were you here for public comment?
No, I'm just here to listen to anything you have to say about dog runs in the
Okay.
district. Yeah, that's just pure, like curious what's going on with other dog runs in CB2.
Yeah, the only thing we have going on is that we asked for them to find a temporary new place for the Murray Playground dog run
Yeah.
about 2 months ago, and we haven't heard back from them on a potentially new site. So I have to follow up.
Okay.
Okay, and then just so you know, so Carlos, I know this, I guess, two things. One is there, are there any updates about this? Was the helicopter that the helicopters that was that in this
I think that
committee?
was in this
Okay.
committee.
I
Yes,
was wondering if there's any, yeah.
I haven't heard anything from them. I remember they were talking about, I think there's legislation that we could potentially support, but I don't know. I didn't get any follow-up from them
Okay.
in any way.
Okay, and then the other thing was the AED defibrillators. So I believe, so my committee was supposed to get back to you with some suggestions. So I'll do that offline. We had talked about it in our committee, in the Health
Mhm.
and Human Services Committee, about potential site locations for that.
Okay.
Okay.
And what's like the next steps? Do you want to just like talk about like communication or letters we should send to the Parks Department or Health Department or
Yeah, yeah, and there were some other places that people were thinking about outside of parks and stuff like that. So it was like, places like where
Mhm.
there's adult exercise. One of the things is Sunnyside Community Services has one on site, because that had also come up in our meeting about whether or not Andrea Thomas wasn't there at that particular meeting, but we were able to follow up with her afterwards at a subsequent meeting. People were talking about like buses. So people had like different ideas. That's kind of like maybe outside of the scope of this committee, but it was just like different places that people thought that they should go, given where there's like a either a population where it's like there might be more seniors. We did mention some parks too. So just have to get back to you with the list of things.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and
Okay.
it would be great to like I'd love to figure out what we need to do to kind of get them in wherever they need to go. Cause like I feel like we might reach out to the Health Department and the Parks Department. They'll be like, oh, this is a great idea, but like we don't have the money for it. So like maybe then that's when we go to our like elected officials and see if they can
Yeah.
fund some of it.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Sounds
Okay.
good. Go ahead, Christine.
Just an idea about identifying flooding spots.
Mhm.
There are a few Facebook pages like Sunnyside Together, Small Town Confidential. The possibility of just, putting a post on their site, because people in the neighborhood are pretty responsive whenever anyone puts a question out. Sometimes there's, many, many comments
That's a great idea.
on it.
Thanks, Christine.
Mhm.
Great. I think that's it. Anything else anyone wants to discuss? We're still trying to get DEP to come to our committee. I asked Debbie like every 2 weeks and she says they haven't responded yet. So
Okay. Right.
we'll get them. We'll get them soon.
Okay. Persistence pays off.
Yeah.
Keep
That's why we have to blast them with 311 complaints. So
Okay.
they have to come and tell us to shut up. All right. Thanks so much,
Okay.
everybody, for coming.
All right.
Appreciate it. Have a great
Have a
weekend.
good night. Okay.
Have a great Friday.
Bye.
Bye.